Well, good afternoon. I am Pastor Adam Sullivan, and this is Tell Me More Tuesday. This is the place where we're able to share some of the ideas and thoughts that didn't quite make it into our weekend message here at Mountain View Church. And we've been in our series, Like a Child. And this last Sunday, we talked about David, the child David, and his famous battle with Goliath, and how David is a type of Christ in this story of the Old Testament. We don't represent David. David doesn't represent us. David represents Jesus in the story because Jesus is the one that overcomes the giants in our life. He's the one that has done the work and defeated hell, death, and the grave. He is the one that we look to, and we get to share in his victory. And as I was studying this classic, famous story of David and Goliath over this last week, I came across a couple just interesting ideas that I wanted to share with you. One of which is that what is believed now is that the stones that David picked up, the stones that were in the valley, were actually unusually dense. And that means they weighed more than just any old random rock or stone. And that, in combination with the fact that David used a sling, and slingers in that time could actually sling a rock and launch it out of their slingshot faster than a professional baseball player throwing a baseball. Now, these two things added together created a situation that had enough force that the Bible says that the stone hit Goliath right between the eyes and it sunk in. And it's estimated that the force that hit Goliath in the forehead would have been greater than the force of a 45 caliber handgun. Now, of course, a bullet is much smaller, and so pounds per square inch. That's why we see penetration through someone's head. But a stone hitting him with that equal amount of force, spread across more surface area, sinking into his skull. That is absolutely incredible. And it was just a fun little piece of information that I came across. The other thing, this is kind of a 2-in-1 Tell Me More Tuesday. The other thing I found interesting was the idea that Goliath was not as powerful as he seemed to be. You see, Goliath was armored, trained, and prepared for hand-to-hand combat. He was a soldier. He was ready for close quarter combat. How did David come into battle? He came in with a sling. He was more like someone who was in the artillery or an archer. He was prepared. He was prepared to battle in close quarters, but he initially took the position of a distance fighter. And David, he was able to run into battle, where Goliath, he had all this armor that weighed hundreds of pounds, and he was slowed down. He was protected for battle, but he was not as mobile as David was. And the reason that stuck out to me this last week is I just want to remind us that our giants that we face, the symbolic giants that we faced in our life, addiction and sins and temptation, they are not as powerful as they may seem to be. We look on those giants and we say, oh, they're massive. How could we ever overcome them? How could we ever obtain victory over those giants? Because they seem so big and so powerful, and they seem to bring us down every time. But they are not as powerful as they may seem to be. Let's remember that Jesus' power, it dwarfs them in comparison. They are nothing compared to the power of Christ. You see, Jesus is prepared. He is ready, and his position to fight that battle is far superior. As a matter of fact, when we look at David and Goliath, he approached Goliath, and Goliath was kind of caught off guard that here David was coming at him with sling and stick, and who am I, a dog, he says. And yet his tactic was superior. How did Jesus come to fight the battle? He came and sacrificed himself on a cross. Perhaps the devil was caught off guard that how could this be the way that I'm going to be defeated? No. The enemy thought he was defeating Jesus, but in fact, Jesus won the victory. I love that. I absolutely love it. So keep things in perspective. Jesus is bigger and far superior and more powerful than any giant that you face. And though they may seem like they are powerful, and though they may seem like that they are so strong and cannot be defeated, no, Jesus has already won the victory. He has already done the work. And now we get to share in that victory. And we do that by learning to lean on him, coming to him, getting closer and closer to Jesus, and letting that freedom reign in our lives. Well, blessings, church. I love you. I'm praying for you, and I'll see you this Sunday.